have a search tool that's available on the library homepage. You can generally use this to find books, ebooks, articles, and more. Although the examples that I'm going to use are from Ontario Tech University Library's search tool called Omni, the tips about keywords and filters will apply to most systems. So let's go to the library homepage here. And the Omni search box on the library homepage is a really great place to start your research. This tool searches the library's books, ebooks, articles, and more. So Omni is a really good source for the beginning of your research. So it's a great spot if you need just a few articles or books for an assignment. It's also really good if you're interested in getting an overview of ideas associated with a topic to use as a starting point for further research. It's very helpful if the topic is general or broad. And Omni can also be really useful if you're looking for known items. So if you have a title or author of a specific book, article, or video, such as books or articles from a course reading list. Omni does not search all of the library databases. For more advanced research, you can also search library subject databases, which we'll cover later in this module. So let's do a sample search for data visualization. Get into the search bar. Once you type in your search, you'll be taken to the Omni search tool. And here it is. This is what a search results look like in Omni. So there's filters on your left to help you narrow your results. And we'll go over a few of the commonly used filters. So under availability, you can choose available online. Then your results will only show resources that are online. You can also look under resource type over here. So this is where you can choose just to see formats like articles, books and ebooks, newspaper articles, and so on. You can select, so you can see all of these options right here. So let's say we'll select articles. See our results lists are being narrowed here. You can also choose a date range under publication date. So how does your current research, how current does your research need to be? Usually that will depend on what you're looking for and what your instructor is looking for. For example, you might want information published in the last 5 years. Change the date range a little bit, and we're fine. You can also select peer-reviewed journals as well as a filter. So I'm going to select that one. And now we have all of these active filters. So we have available online articles, years, and peer-reviewed journals. And these are our results list for looking at data visualization. So now let's look at how you might like to access an online resource. And so let's say that we have an article that looks good, like this one, and we're going to go ahead and click on that. And so to access an online resource that you found in Omni, you can click Available Online here, and this will take you to the record down here. So this is our article record, and so we'll see links to 1 or 2 databases. Right now it's just a link to one database where the full text of the item is located. So we can select that database, and you'll see we'll be prompted to enter to log in with network ID. So this is the same type of login we will use to access other material such as your email, library. So you can go ahead and log in, and you'll be able to see the article here. There's the option to download a PDF, you can read an abstract, and you can sort of see all that information. Hello, next we're going to talk about Google. So we're here in the Business Library module, and we're talking about Google Like a Pro, Part 1. Google is an important research tool, and I'm going to go over some tips for making your Google searching even more effective. The first is to choose good keywords. So let's start with a sample research question in Google. How many people are there in Oshawa? How many people are there in Oshawa? And this first result here is this graph, and this shows a population number, which is with the source down here listed as the United Nations. when you click on the United Nations, the link is broken though, and you can't see where this actual source is. This is UN data, and it's not found. This might be a good answer right here in Google, but it would be difficult to verify and cite in a report. So if we look further down in the results, we can see that the city of Oshawa's website is listed as one source. So this is a reliable source that could be cited in a report. We can see this here. Information there about population. So that is a viable source. This is just further examples there. So what we just did when we typed that search into Google, how many people are there in Oshawa, is an example of natural language searching. So typing words in exactly as we would ask a question is called natural language searching. Google is pretty good at interpreting this kind of search, but many library research databases are not. Even in Google, if you give some more thought to your keywords, you can often lead to better results. So keyword searching focuses on the most important concepts. And that usually means that you'll omit unnecessary words like the or in. Google searches for keywords in text, URLs, and links. So when you look for the results of your first search, it's helpful to keep an eye out for useful words. For example, the word demographics could be added to a revised search if you're interested in how population breaks down within categories like sex or age. So keywords that, it's helpful to think of words that might appear on a website. Let's see some examples. So we can see here natural language might be to say my head hurts, but keywords would indicate headache. Natural language would say how many people are in Oshawa, but keywords would indicate population demographics in Oshawa. When searching, it's also helpful to think about operators and tools. So operators like quotation marks and or commands can improve your search results. So here's some examples of some operators or tools that you could use. Use quotation marks for phrases. So you'd like to put phrases in quotation marks to search for words only when they appear together. For example, we can put the phrase young adults in quotation marks, and that would retrieve young adults together. It does not retrieve adults' opinions of young people. So where adults is in one spot and young is in another spot. We can use the operator or for words that are similar. So there are multiple ways of expressing the same idea, like the words car and vehicle. So you can include alternative words and phrases in your search using the operator or. For example, young adults or teenagers or adolescents. By using the phrase or, you're telling the search engine or database to include any of those words or phrases, not all of them. You can use and for words that are different. So that would allow you to tell the search engine or database to find sources that include all of them. For example, social media and teenagers. And also combined and or. So when you want to combine and or searches, brackets are helpful. As you can see in this example search, we can look at social media in quotations and then in brackets, young adults and in quotation marks, or teenagers or adolescents. We'll see the sort of results we get. You can also use the minus sign for excluding words that you don't want. Let's move on to talking a little bit more about Google in Google Like a Pro Part 2. Time to put the keywords that we just talked about in the previous section into practice and use some more tools for using Google. So here's a Google search with utilizing some of the keyword tools and operators that we discussed in the previous section. So quotation marks around social media trends and young adults, using brackets, we're using or, and we're using the minus sign to do a search that's looking for social media trends in young adults or teenagers with results that are not from Facebook. You can go ahead and run a Google search. And here are the results that we have gotten. Something to think about when you're using Google is this tools emblem. So tools here will give you the ability to amend the time. So you can look at your results list for a certain time period. So let's say we want to look at what has been said in the past month and see what kind of results come up this way. This is a really good way to get more current results because we can also just look at what's been said in the past 24 hours. Nothing really for here. So past week maybe. Yeah, so there's more things about what was talked about in this topic for the past week. So Google also has operators that can be very useful for certain searches. For example, the site lets you search within very specific website or types of domain. If we go back here to the book, we can see this. So here are some examples of domain or file type. So we've got .ca for Canadian websites, .gov for American government websites, .pdf, .edu, things like that. So the site Google also lets you search within a specific website or type of domain. So if you have a website that doesn't have a website search feature, you still do that utilizing Google. So here's an example of how we could do that. So let's say we're looking for our same search for social media trends, but we just want to look for Canadian sources. So we'd say site .ca and then run the search again. And so no results in the past week, but let's look at any time. And now we'll just come up with results from Canadian sources or .ca, sources with .ca domains in our search. Now let's talk about Google Scholar. Google Scholar searches a huge amount of journal articles and other scholarly publications. It links to a lot of free content, but not everything is free. So in this section, I'll talk about how to connect Google Scholar to your library subscription so that you can access more articles when you're doing your searches instead of hitting a paywall. So the way to go about it is to look at library links for Google Scholar. So you can add your university or college as your library in Google Scholar settings. So we'll go over here to the settings menu, down to settings, over to library links, and you can search for the name of your institution. I'm going to look for Ontario Tech. Go search. I'll check Ontario Tech University off, and I'll click Save. So you can look for whatever institution you searched for that you have affiliation with. You can put in up to 5. And now everything I search, you will see find text at Ontario Tech links, or the name of whichever institution you have searched for next to many of the articles that you find. So search for healthcare, access. And so you can see there's the full text on Ontario Tech option here that will link you directly to the library website. So Google Scholar is a really valuable research tool, but there are good reasons to use it in combination with library subscribed databases. So Google Scholar has a very large index of scholarly articles, which is really great. It's easy to search, but it does have some downsides, and those include that there's no option to search for peer-reviewed journal articles to filter for peer review. There's no option to search within subject areas, and very few search filters means you have less control over your searches. So all of those things are different in library databases. There's often filters that allow you to filter for peer-reviewed journal articles and allow an option for you to search within subject areas. Next, we will discuss library resources for business. Key business resources include databases and newspapers. We will discuss different types of business databases as well as popular newspaper sources. So let's start with databases. There are 2 main types of business databases, general and specialized. General databases give information about many subdisciplines in business, while specialized databases focus on one subdiscipline or one type of information. We're going to start with looking at a general subject database. The general subject database we're going to look at today is ProQuest One Business. When searching this database, you'll find many different types of materials, such as full-text journal articles, dissertations, working papers, and country and industry reports. You also will have the option in this database to select source type and document type, as well as limit by date. Let's try a sample search for social media and trends in young adults. Remember to use the AND operator when you want the search tool to find all of the keywords in one result. We're also using quotation marks to keep social media and young adults together. Go ahead and search. And here are the results. So it yielded a lot of results, and we can use the filters on the left here to narrow these things down. So we can check the peer-reviewed box to see only peer-reviewed articles. So these are the highest level of research article because they're reviewed by multiple experts before publication. Under the source type, we can select a journal article, so scholarly journals. Other filters that you might want to use include publication date. So we can enter a date range and then update that. So we might select the last 5 years. You can also filter by language, document type, sort of articles, case studies, etc. Industry terms, if you are looking for papers about this topic for particular industries such as marketing research, you can find that information there. To retrieve articles from a database like this, you simply click on the title there and you're taken to the item record that looks like this. So here you can read the abstract. You can also look at the full text. You can see who wrote it, you can see the authors. You can get the full text PDF by clicking here. You can also download the PDF. You can often find citation information and so on. Next, let's talk about specialized subject databases. Today we're going to look at Statista. Statista is a specialized subject database that focuses on market and industry information. Statista contains industry reports, dossiers, and statistics from many international sources. Many market and industry information databases will look similarly. The information is usually presented as reports and often includes data visualizations and graphs. So you can browse Statista's offerings using the menu options across the top. So here, different types of reports and statistics. But it's often more efficient to use the search function if you know what you're looking for to find these results. So let's start with an example. So let's say you're working to create a marketing plan for a craft brewery. So we can type that in here, and craft brewery comes up as an option, and we'll start a search and see what kind of information will come up with that. So here is the information around our search term. So we can find a lot of information that might help if we were, say, making a marketing plan for a craft brewery. So we can find information about the market in general in various countries, so the US, the UK, France, the type of beer that Canadians prefer, distribution of shares, sales, by province, by country, by production, by brewery type, primary consumption. So there's a lot of information here that you can scan through. There are also filters on the side that allow you to pull out specific information. So if you know you're looking for consumer markets, you can just look for that. You can also filter by country and territory, regions, industries, date, and so on. So you might not always be able to find information on your particular geographic area. For instance, there's no dossier on the craft beer industry in Canada. But we can look at the craft beer industry in the US as another option. So if we can't find a report for your specific region, it's helpful to try to find a region with a similar economy, demographics, government, etc., and then draw comparisons between the two. So this is what the information in Statista looks like. You can see an overview of the topic, some key figures. You also have the option to go directly to the report and download it as a PowerPoint presentation or as a PDF. There's more information as to the overview there. Next, let's discuss newspapers. Newspapers can be a valuable resource for business news, and there are a number of different news and current affairs databases available to you through library subscriptions. We're going to look at Canadian Newsstream right now. So in this search, we are using OR as well as AND operators. There's OR and there's AND. We're also using quotation marks around some terms like mental health and first responders. And we want databases to receive results with any of these keywords. So we're going to go ahead and search. And here are our results. So we can use the filters on the left to ensure we see just newspapers. So under source types, there's different types of news. So newspapers, magazines, blogs, wire feeds, etc. So we're going to click on newspapers, and that narrows down our results a little bit. And you can see as we go through, there's some other ways you can filter. You can filter by publication date. You can filter by subject, location, language, and so on. And to look at an article here, you would just click on the title and be taken to the item record here. So it has the full text right here, and then some more details over here about sort of the author, the publication title. So this is from the Edmonton Sun, publication date, and so on. The information here on saving as a PDF and citing as well.